Now, this isn't technically a review of Kodak 500T, it's more just what kind of results you can expect shooting it. I've taken it to Bruges here, and I shot quite a lot of this film in the past because I've had quite a lot of roles, and I honestly think it's an amazing film. It's really underrated. The only annoying thing is it's ECN2 process, so that might be a little bit inconvenient for some, but the lab here in Budapest does it fine and develops it fine. So I've had no issues. I scan it in with my digital camera and I barely have to touch this film. It's really versatile. I kind of change the temperature if I've shot it in the daylight, tiny bit, like maybe +6 on Lightroom, so almost nothing. And I think the results that you get out of it are really good, and it's definitely worth a go. It's a lot cheaper than film at the moment because that's pretty crazy. So, I mean, if you see it, definitely give it a go. And if you like the results, let me know in the comments. We arrived into Belgium to the bitter rivalry of England versus USA, which honestly best case ended up as a draw. We took the train from the airport to Bruges, and here's second class, which is not looking too hospitable. And then got in late and finished the night with some waffles. On the walk into Bruges from the Airbnb, we're greeted by all these seagulls, which made for a nice photo. Here's the Christmas market, which, not gonna lie, a little bit disappointing. Shot on the Bessa L with the super wide lens, and also the Yashica T5 with the closer 35mm lens. And I'm pretty glad I brought these two. These are a great combo to take. One's a little bit tighter, one's super wide, so you can get quite a good view of the city with these two different cameras. And they're both tiny, so one fits in your pocket and one I could just wear as a normal camera. Just a quick side note, I shot the Yashica with it pushed one stop just so it doesn't underexpose the film because there's no choice of manual exposure on that. And then I shot the Bessa super wide, and I shot that at 400 ISO, so letting a bit more extra light, and then if the light meter was reading slightly overexposed, I did usually tend to overexpose the film a bit. So that's the kind of results I got. We took a boat ride through the canals in Bruges, and it's a great way to see the city, even though it's a little bit cold. Here we face some more of my errors with this super wide lens. I can't see through the rangefinder because it's external, so I ended up getting my fingers in quite a few, some of Piper's head, and yeah, it's kind of all my fault I guess, but it's super wide so you can crop it a little bit. After the boat ride, headed on a quick brewery tour, which was great, but the beers in Belgium are not light. I think the lightest one I could find here was about 6%, and tastes good, but for 12 o'clock it's a little bit early. Another beautiful canalway, and another terrible shot of my finger. Otherwise, I think I would have loved this photo with the boat there and that lady leaning over. Great pun name for a teddy bear shop, and then onto some mussels for lunch. And there's a lovely image of the famous Belfry Tower, caught on the Yashica T5, and that 500T does produce some absolutely great colours. Then in time for a little dessert of waffles, which this one was way better than that before, being super dense. Past the beer wall, which is huge and really showcases how many beers they have here. And the Christmas tree with the Belfry Tower in the back. And that 500T producing some really blue colours just because it's tungsten balanced, but I actually really enjoy those, and I only warm it up slightly if it was sunny that day and it's a bit too blue, but otherwise I'm really into the colour. I think especially around Christmas, to emphasise the cold, it works perfectly, like this shot here. Now, the next day was not quite the blue skies of yesterday, and was back to the classic Belgian weather of rain. However, I did take some photos of this tower, and that was yesterday in the sun. But I thought I would show them anyway and try to salvage some of them, because I really like these, and you can see the detail that you get out both those super sharp lenses. One Voigtlander, one Carl Zeiss, and expect nothing less from either of them. They really render everything quite beautifully. One final view of the Christmas market, which was not as packed as they usually are, probably because of the weather, but didn't take out the cameras too much just because the rain and the light was pretty awful, especially for colour film, so these again are from the day before. Then, leaving slightly early, we went to Brussels, which we were greeted by more rain, and then headed back to the airport for our flight back home.